Shalom. Call halal, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, SHAM, QADASH. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like the heathen. And to the YAHAWAH that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother MALCHAAMAH from the branch of the great millstone, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And this is a video that I are going to be part 2 of a video that I did yesterday on Peter Hocken, theologian. And I'm just trying to, I don't remember the name. I'm trying to look up the name now. Yeah, theologian Peter Hocken says salvation is for the remnant with a question mark. All right, because he's saying it, but I still haven't. Because somehow in the book they're gonna bring everybody into this eventually. I think, like I said, I haven't read it. I'm just going off. I haven't finished the book. I'm just reading portions of it. All right. But regardless of what he says, what I'm saying is the 100% truth. All right. Salvation is only for the elect of Israel, because not even the 2/3 of Israel are not going to get salvation. So there ain't no way in the world that, you know, a heathen is going to get salvation. So let's start with Isaiah 11, because I can't say this enough. The kingdom of heaven and the house of David. All right, the kingdom of David, the house of Judah, is all 12 tribes brought back together. All right, and that's a small remnant of Israel. All right, and one thing that this guy did say, he did talk about the remnant a lot in this. Something that churches ignore. You never even hear the remnant or the elect spoken of in the modern day churches, which all lie. So this is Isaiah the 11th chapter, and in verse 1 it reads, "And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, the branch shall grow out of his roots." So literally, this is the stem is talking about is basically his bloodline. All right, the bloodline of Jesse. All right. It says out of a rod out of the stem of Jesse. Jesse's stem, all right, literally his penis. You know how they talk about the family jewels? All right? Because you have to remember, the men carry the family jewels, because men, you know, a sister, not the sister, but her brother, her first cousins on her father's side that are males, they bring back the family. That's the way the Lord set it up. Jumping up to verse 10, Isaiah 11 and 10. "And in that day, all right, there should be a root out of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people." What people? His people, the Israelites. "To it shall the Gentiles sink," the scattered Israelites, and then the actual Gentiles, after the kingdom has been established. "And the rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day, the Lord shall send forth his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people." It didn't say all of them, "which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast," all right, the elect among the outcasts of Israel, "and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth," not just from Germany and Poland and Crimea. All right, the Israelites got scattered to the four corners of the earth, so you're going to have to acknowledge that they're coming from everywhere, and they're going to look like everyone. That will be Revelation, the 9th chapter. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick, and we'll jump back into the book. Revelation 7 and 9, that's that great multitude. All right, and that multitude, they're still Israelites. All right, because 5 through 8 gives you the breakdown of the 12 tribes, 12,000 from each tribe, which is what this video is for. The 144,000 and the rest of the elect, all right, which is in verse 9 here, Revelation 7:9. "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. And see, they'll try to say, see, everybody can make it. No, that's the elect coming back, the remnant being brought back from those nations. All right. Stood together before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So you just can't read one scripture and then try to make it that you have to. That's why it says through thy precepts we get understanding. And I just read the precepts of Jesse. All right. And the root and the remnant that's going to be gathered up from among the nations. All right. So let's go back to the book, The Glory and the Shame. That's this book here. Let's pull it up. That's this one in the middle here where you see the cursor, the little finger. All right. 1993 it was written. Okay, and it was written by this man, Peter Hocken here. All right. Once let's read about Peter again. It says, Peter Hocken was a British theologian and historian of the Catholic charismatic renewal and Pentecostal movement in the 20th century. Born in Brighton, England, Hocken was ordained a priest in the Roman Catholic Church for the Diocese of Northampton in 1964. All right. Born June 22nd, 1932, Brighton and Hove, United Kingdom. All right. Died June 10th, 2017 in Australia. Okay. See, I didn't even read that part. So he's already gone on to the spirit world and now he knows the truth. And if he's an Edomite, which I perceive he is, he knows that he's waking up to chains, that he's waking up to everlasting shame. All right. And that he's not among the elect of the remnant that he was speaking about. So I'm going to start at the bottom paragraph on page 112. And it says, as the people of Israel and Judah kept on hearing the call to repentance and restoration after their repeated periods of rebellion, they were led to reflect more deeply on God's unfailing love, all right, and faithfulness. All right, return to the Lord, your power, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding steadfast in love, and repents of evils. And that's Job 2:13. All right. More attention came to be paid to the unconditional promises to Abraham and David. Thus it see, so you can't have the kingdom of heaven without David. David was made a promise too. The promise that he made that he would sit on the throne forever, which is why if you understand the scriptures, this is getting into meat and not milk. But you would understand that David is Peter. Because how could Peter be given the keys to the kingdom if David got the kingdom forever? All right. But it says, thus the covenant with David will not be withdrawn. See that? 2 Samuel 7, 15 and 16. So let's go to that. Let's read that. And I just finished reading the first book of Samuel. I'm now in the second book. All right. But that was 2 Samuel, what was it? 2 Samuel 7, all right, 15 and 16, right. All right, 2 Samuel 7, 15 through 16. And it reads, but my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. Now David committed murder and adultery, but he was already a chosen vessel of the Lord. The Lord forgave him. That's why I said we're looking for the sure mercies of David. The Lord in Ephesians, the first chapter, says we have been chosen from the foundations of the earth. So the elect are basically exempt from their wickedness. All right. But the elect, we don't know who we are. Okay. We have to, we push and have faith that we are the elect because we do the work. But just because you do the work doesn't mean that you won't be discarded. God forbid that happens to me or any of the brothers, of the great millstone that do this in truth and sincerity. Verse 16, and in thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. So David is promised a throne forever. The Lord cannot lie. YAHAWAH cannot lie. All right. It's not Yahweh like this guy writes in the book. All right. And then it said, and then he gave you a lot of scriptures on that subject matter. Right? He gave you Jeremiah 33, 14, 17, Ezekiel 34, 23, Zechariah 6 and 12. There are signs of growing awareness of the importance of the covenant of Abraham. All right. Psalms 105 and 9, Isaiah 41 and 8, Isaiah 51 and 2, Daniel 3 and 35. It is a theme that reappears with great force in the canticles of Luke's infancy Luke 1:55 through 72. And that's right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read it. No, I wouldn't. Not only that, I'm going to read, and it talks about David and Abraham. All right. And I'm going to go to Luke 1. All right. I mentioned the other scriptures, but I'm going to go to Luke 1. And all those scriptures I mentioned, you should pause the video and write them down. But I'm going to go to Luke 1. And I remember reading this. You know, we read this, and then the Edomite broke down because she got it. She realized that we were telling the truth. She started crying. That video, I think that video is up over 100,000 views right about now. But this is Luke 1. I'm going to start at verse 67 and read to 74. And his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, Blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. For as he spake by the mouth of the holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies. The house of David still has enemies. We're in our enemies' clutches here in America. All right. And a portion of our enemies even claim our identity, claim, you know, the issues, the little hats. They even claim to be us. It says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercies promised to our fathers, to remember his holy covenant. All right. The oath which he swore to our father Abraham. See? All right. So this reiterates that that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. All right. So I imagine that somewhere down the line, he's going to have that, you know, include the heathens in there too. You know, he's going to try to say, when it says to the Jews first and then to the Gentiles, well, he's not. Well, they're not acknowledging that they're two sets of Gentiles, that they're the Israelite foreigners, all right, and then there's the natural Gentiles, is the actual heathen of the other nations, all right. Acts 6:1, Acts 9:29 prove that that the Grecians, all right, those Gentiles were Greek-speaking Jews, all right. They were the Hellenista, all right, which they could have just put in those scriptures, but I think they purposely wrote that. But then it also had to be a stumbling block. Prophecy had to be fulfilled, all right, so that some wouldn't believe, even though it's been told to them, all right. So we're on page 113, and it says the prophetic denunciation and promises. In prophetic writings, denunciation of the faithless of Israel and Judah are regularly, so it's talking about the northern and southern kingdom, not just the Jews. All right. And remember, we explained in the last video that the Jews are the Idumeans, the Edomites, who converted during the time of John Hyrcanus. All right. And we're right there along with the Judeans, the actual melanated Negroid type of the Judeans and Israelites that were still in the Holy Land and around and throughout the Roman Empire. Okay. At the same time, after the death of John Hyrcanus, these Jewish people, these Edomites that converted to following the law, statutes, and commandments, well, this is why they'll say, well, our DNA goes back to Jerusalem at the time of the fall of Rome and blah, blah, blah. Well, this is because they were there. But they weren't the actual people, though. And so they leave that portion of the history out. They don't share that history. All right. There's a difference between Jewish and Judeans. All right. The people, the actual members of the kingdom of Judah, who often scoffed Herod because they knew that Herod's father was an Edomite, even though he had married an Israelite woman. And the Israelites understood that you are of your. This is why Jewish people say that you are of your mother, which is a complete and totally false. All right. So that's a false. The man carries the seed. The man is how the bloodline continues. All right. So anyway, it says in the prophetic writings, denunciation of the faithless Israel and Judah are regularly followed by the promises of restoration, the strong message of Amos against the sins of Israel, with the prophecy of restoration, Amos 9:13 and 15. I'm going to read that. And an indictment in Jeremiah 2, 1 through 3 and 13 is followed by the promises of the complaints, all right, by the promise, but even those days, saith the Lord, I will make full end of you, all right, and the denunciation are followed by characteristics meshes. Okay, and remember, Israelites were not in captivity. I mean, Salakia, Israelis were not in captivity, but were actually the masters in this last captivity. All right, remember, the banknotes and the records, even on the internet, even on Google, show you that the slave ships were often owned, mostly owned by Jewish people today. All right, the people who refer to themselves as Jewish people today. That's facts. That's not hate. That's not slander or anti anything. That's just a simple historic truth. All right. So let's go to some of these scriptures. What did he read? He had Amos 9, 13, and 15. So let's go to the book of Amos. 13 through 15. And this is Amos 9 and 13. Matter of fact, he should have started at 11. I'm going to start at 11. And it says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacles of David that is fallen and close up the breaches thereof." Once again, people, you cannot have the kingdom of David without the house of David. All right? And the house of David is the same one you read about in Samuel. All right? It says, and close up the breaches. What's the breach? Bringing back the northern and the southern kingdom back together again. And that is happening now on the highways and byways with the Israelites. Where are the Jewish camps? Where are the Jewish people on the highways and byways trying to bring their people back to the Lord? They're not doing that. They're bringing their people to Pink City. All right? Okay? But it says, "And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." And what was happening when the northern and southern kingdom were under David? They were conquering, slaying, and taking booty, captives, all the other nations, taking concubines, second, third, fourth, and fifth wives, gold, silver, sheep. All right? That's what they were doing. That's what we're going to do again. All right? It's Daniel 7 and 18 says, "The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom." We're not going to ask for it. China and Russia don't have necks. All right? They're going to be used to destroy the Edomites of the east. And then YAHAWASHI is going to come, and those who are left are going to try to fight him, and he's going to smash them all. And then we're going to get given that power, and we're going to come down out of the chariots, which they ignorantly call UFOs and UAPs. We're going to come down with those new bodies, all right? And we're going to put in chains the leaders of the world and bring them all into captivity. Set everybody back in their own land, make the heathen build our nation, our land for free. And the worst people, then the people that are going to catch the worst of that are the ones that you see on the screen. The same guy you see on the screen are the Edomites. All right, he better hope and pray that he was actually one of the scattered of our people. All right, verse 13, Amos 9 and 13. "Behold, the days shall come when YAHAWAH, saith YAHAWAH, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper." So we're the plowmen, we're the slaves. We're going to overtake those who've been reaping of our works. You know, all the adventures and all the work that we did. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans built America, point blank, period. All right? And it says, "And the treader of the grapes, him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the wasted cities, and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine thereof. They shall make gardens and eat the fruit of them, and I will plant upon their land. I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith Yahweh power." So, you know, we're not going to go home and then be threatened by the people in Gaza and being threatened by the Iranians and all these other nations around us. All right, the prophecy says that when the Israelites go back, there will be peace on earth, and that they will dwell in peace and safety alone. So the people there, they don't fit prophecy. They're not the people. As a matter of fact, they're part of Revelation 6 and 4, that warring red horse that took peace from the earth. All right. Okay, so let me read this portion now. It said, "Thus saith the Lord concerning all my evil neighbors who touch the heritage, which I have given my people Israel to inherit. Behold, I will pluck them up from their land, and I will pluck up the house of Judah from among them, and I have plucked them up, and I will have compassion on them, and I will bring them again to his heritage, and each to his land. Jeremiah 12, 14, and 15. Let's get that. All right. Because right now, Israel is not called Israel. They're called blacks. They're called Native Americans. They're called Hispanics. All right. And whatever. And plus our people are scattered among all the people. All right. So, you know, wherever our people are scattered, they're being called by these false made up names, which was made up by the ruling powers. And Edom is the ruling power in the earth. All right. Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, or Yeshua. All right. His name is YAHAWASHI, and he returns to a world ruled by the Edomites, by Idumeans. Okay? So that was Jeremiah. Jeremiah 12, 14 and 15. And it reads, "Thus saith Yahawah against all mine evil neighbors that touched it." Oh, I read that. That's what he was quoting. All right. Salakia. So I already read it, basically. All right. I read it. He was quoting them. That was those scriptures that I read. So I'm going to go straight to Hosea. Straight to Hosea 1, 8 through 11. And it reads, "Now when she weaned LaRahumana, she conceived and bare a son, then said, Call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God." So we got cut off from our people, man, because remember, Hosea was told to marry a whore. We played the whore. So that's exactly what he did. He did what he was told, all right? No one wants to have their children with the whore. That's why it says, "Oh, you adulterous nation," all right? Because most of us are born to mothers, and our fathers, our mothers weren't virgins. Our mothers actually lost their virginity to another man, and it had many men in most cases before our father even impregnated them. So that's what we're that adulterous generation. That's why our righteousness is as filthy rags. If you are a woman and you had a child, and the man that you had the child with was not the first you've ever been with, that makes you an adulterer. All right, that's a whorish way. All right, the first man that touches you, you're supposed to remain with forever. And in your defense, our women, we weren't taught this, the importance of this. This wasn't pushed. We weren't taught this. Why? Because we got cut off from our heritage. Why? I'm reading about it. It says, "And now when she weaned," I read that, verse 9. "Then God said, Call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power." Everyone's going to see and acknowledge who we are. All right. Verse 11. "Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. For great shall be the day of Jezreel." Great's going to be the day when the Lord raises us up. So we're going to start part 2 right there. And we'll pick up part 3 in the next lesson. So all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahawah, BaHa, SHAM, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, SHAM, QADASH, YAHAWAH, BaBal, Kwam, Yasharala, Shalom.